31 times trailing earnings on the S&P 500. How should we feel about the stock market right now?
I'm feeling pretty constructive about the market. You're right. I mean, the market is trading at 31 times earnings on a trailing basis, which is comparing that to over the past 2 years, a multiple of 23 times. But what we're seeing is that the earnings results are really, really strong. And so I do tend to agree that earnings could, in fact, be stronger than investors expect as we move through this earnings season and future earnings seasons. With respect to monetary stimulus, I'm less focused on that. I think that the real catalyst here is fiscal stimulus. The fiscal stimulus is really spurring demand among consumers, and I think leading really to the recovery in top-line revenues as well as profits, particularly for consumer-facing companies. So I would say I tend to agree.
Is there any part of the market, because you focus on ESG, and we have seen the flows into ESG simply continue. Is there any part, though, Valerie, that you think maybe has gotten a little bit too hot? It's very easy for, and you know what I'm talking about, companies that say, we're ESG. I know we make deadly chemicals, but we're still really socially and environmentally sound because we buy carbon credits. Is there any part of the market that has gotten too juicy?
I don't know if there's a particular part of the market that's gotten too juicy, but what I will say is that as investors have started to focus on environmental, social, and governance issues, we are really being as rigorous in evaluating companies on those dimensions as we are in evaluating their financial performance. So as an example, many companies have made proclamations about becoming carbon neutral by a date certain. And one thing you have to ask is, okay, help us understand how you're going to get there. Are you talking about your scope 1, scope 2, or scope 3 emissions? How does this affect your overall operations? How does it affect your products and services? What's the capital requirement for you to reach those targets and goals? So those are the kinds of conversations that we're having with companies as these announcements and headlines grab our attention. We're really doing a lot of in-depth research as we meet with companies and try to understand what it really means in terms of their operating strategy and ultimately their equity valuation as well.
And are they doing it, or are they just saying it?
No, I think a lot of it is real. A lot of it is real, and it's not just to to assuage the interests of the newspapers. Many times it's economically driven. I think what companies are doing is they're looking at their businesses differently, and they're figuring out that there are ways to actually improve their energy efficiency also while improving their cost structure. There are also products and services that are very compelling as you look at issues related to climate change and other factors.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.